Alright, everybody, good evening. Let's continue our Tales with Yumi. Tonight we'll be doing our first dungeon, Satasha. If you all are ready, let us continue forward. Anything for the cause, eh, Mr. Actor? Number 7, Midnight Climax. This CIA Cube of 15. Now, there will be 2 days I definitely will not be doing a video. After 3 a.m. on the 11th till the 12th at 3 a.m. I will not be able to log in because it will be all world maintenance in anticipation of launching patch 6.1. I am really excited to see the new stuff that's going to come out because, well, I've still got almost 3 months worth of game time to play. This is why you spend the $80 every 6 months. And I'm sure that whatever we get will be tons of fun. So, using Duty Finder. Alright, so first things first, we're going to enter Duty Finder either using the U or clicking in our hotbar setting down here. So I'll show you what it looks like pressing U. This is pressing U. And then if we come down here to Duty, then we have Duty Finder. As you can see, it shows the U portion of it. So let's get ready to enter Satasha. I'm probably butchering it because I do have a list. Go me. Alright, so we are ready to go have a fight. It was a remedy that required irritation of the skin to counter a deeper issue. Using a scalpel that would make a gap. And X is to draw your weapon and to put away your weapon. Fun times. It's probably going to take us about 5 to 10 minutes to get in this dungeon. Right now it says that the average wait time is 5 minutes. So we get to have some fun. Satasha is a beginner's dungeon. Everybody has to do this dungeon at some point, but it also depends on where you start, which is where your first dungeon is going to be. Either Satasha, Copperbell Mines, if you're in Ul'dah, or one of the other beginner's dungeons. So it just depends on where you start out. You do have to do all of these beginner dungeons. So just be aware. There is a beginner's dungeon in Gridania, but I cannot think of it to save my life. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and return back to Limsa Lominsa real quick and go visit the guild. Because since we're going to be probably waiting for just a couple minutes, we should be good to go. To separate off thousands of people so you can have the knowledge of how to do that to thousands more. Definitely something. Benjamin Rush. Benjamin Rush was a pretty big deal in his time. Was one of the first doctors considered mental illness a disease that had nothing to do with demons. Alright, let's get through all the lagginess, because oh boy, in Limsa Lominsa, the lag is completely real. He believed that mental illness was due to bad circulation and swelling in the brain. So he would douse his patients in cold water in the winter, for example. He would twirl patients from ropes on the ceiling for hours on end to help circulation. We'll get to materia, adhesion, and mending and removal later on in the game. We're not of high enough level to do so yet, but we will get there. Business. And then we'd be kept there for hours. It doesn't sound like the humane treatment ever resulted in a cruel case of trial and big time error. And coming up to number 3, the wandering womb of hypothalamus. The ancient Greeks thought the wombs of lonely, frustrated women grew free and wandered up the body. Okay. Let us go forth. What we're going to do is we are going to teleport to Swift Perch. Because we gotta go slay some wild jackals and some roselings while waiting. And if we manage to get this mission done before I
queue up for this, that'll be great. If not, we can just continue doing it after we're done. Alright, let's go ahead and pull this wild roseling ourselves. Always bring out your Carby.
7.5 years to get a correct diagnosis of endometriosis, which means there could be more, with surgery being the most common form of confirmation. Even worse still, there is no cure. Of course, doctors experience thousands of patients, but is there an issue of pain potential when it comes to women when they report
See, pretty easy.
something we're talking about? Number 2, holding a spine. Now we're getting into the creepy freaking stories from real life nurses. As a medical practitioner, you see some incredibly crazy things. You realize the impossible is possible on a daily basis. I read this story by angiotensin. Obviously, someone had to talk about this story, but I can't imagine that this would be easy to recall. The story goes as follows, and I quote, "In my EMT class, an instructor was telling me about one of her calls to a freeway accident. There were 2 cars involved, and one of them had an elderly couple in it. Since she was so small, my instructor is often assigned the job of crawling through the windows of the car to stabilize patients while the crew works on prying the doors open. She crawled into the back seat of the elderly couple's car and held the manual C-spine before the woman, which is like holding someone's head in place to prevent an injury by twisting the spinal cord. As she held the head, it came off in her hands. The woman had been decapitated by the accident. She had to take a couple of
Right.
talk to her therapist about, oh, can't imagine what it makes me like to go through something like that. Unquote. I'm kind of glad she paid to talk about it, because if she kept that stuff like bottled up, she might have lost her own head. She did. That was the student. Number 1, dangerous confessions.
I've got one more roseling to get.
Confessions of dying patients, and under their code of ethics, if a patient doesn't give their consent, whatever they say can't be shared, even after they die. If it was, it would be a breach in confidentiality. But what if they confess?
And we are done with that mission. Let us return to Glimpse of Momenza. Since I'm out, I'll need to spend 196 gil on this one.
And that the bodies may not have been found. In this case, it's not that the doctors don't want to say anything, it's that they have to hold it back. The man also said that he spent the last 40 years trying to atone, and though he wouldn't allow the confession, he did write a letter to be given to police after his death. Yes, it is true that the doctor...
Alright, let's see if I can't access Ethernet real quick.
But the crimes had happened so long ago, and in his state, he was unlikely to commit anything like that again. So
there we just use the Ethernet, which is a big part of any city. The old way, it was just a list of places that you might want to go to, so you had to learn them all and learn where they led you to. Now, they give you a very beautiful map, I might wish to add.
You don't need a lower car insurance rate. If not, there's Credit Karma.
Let's go to Actions and Traits. We haven't unlocked that one yet. We are at level 17. We will unlock it here in just a moment. I'm trying to transport there. It's much quicker.
From cars to lawnmowers, from ships to steam trains. They've transformed our world and taken us to the moon. Now, engines on modern models.
That's just going to show that you don't really have to wait around for the dungeon to pop. It's not an egregious sin if you don't.
It's no accident that the root word engine is ingenious.
Trust me.
These ingenious designs have been the ultimate expression of man's desire for technical excellence. And through many generations of technological progress, they've had a profound effect on the way people travel and work. Steam engines replaced the horse.
So we're just going to wait because my dungeon could pop while I'm doing this mission.
Then the jet engine and the rocket engine drove wings to a higher level.
If you want to know what's making that massive amount of noise, we can show you. Just gotta remember which way to go. And then this way.
When the steam engine ushered in the Industrial Revolution. It freed mankind from total dependence on primary sources of power.
So if you hear a loud stomping around in this area, that's what's making the noise.
Would be used to power factory machinery, trailers, ships, tractors, and automobiles.
Before steam, mostly we use animals as our mode of transportation. When steam came along, of course,
Well, hopefully I'll get to be able to do this tonight with you guys.
and more lively than of course with animals. And so that was a big transformation. People became less time in small cities they could live out.
Because we're now at 9 minutes elapsed. Almost 10. The average wait time was supposed to have been 3 minutes ago.
And pushes a piston back. Then there is the other end pushing it the other way. The steam comes from a boiler, a metal water container that is heated, usually by burning fuels like wood, coal, oil, or natural gas. A steam turbine engine is like a windmill, except that its blades are propelled by hot steam under high pressure instead of wind. To this day, steam turbines are widely used. In fact, they are used to generate most of our electricity. The Greek scientist Hero of Alexandria built the world's first steam engine about 2,000 years ago. It was basically just a round metal ball with two kettle-like spouts coming out. When steam was piped into the ball, it spun around. Hero put it on display at the Sophia Museum in Athens, where it entertained visitors for years, although it was never viewed as anything more than an interesting toy. In 1705, two British engineers, Thomas Savery and Thomas Newton,
Excuse me.
produced a large steam engine that could be used to pump water out of
So,
mines.
since I'm waiting, I think I just might take care of a couple of these. I'm used to a different spell being there.
These early engines didn't have the drilling to convert reciprocal into circular.
This is, however, something you can do is take care of some of these funny looking beans and get them off your screen.
But it's probably the most famous state engine in the 18th century. James Watt, a professor at the University of Glasgow, developed several improvements for the steam engine, making it much more practical to drive machinery. His flying ball governor expanded as the engine went faster. Centrifugal force caused the heavy metal balls to spread out, and that closed a steam valve which slowed the engine down. And as it spread out,
There we go.
the steam into the
Get some of that experience.
and that is a very efficient
That takes care of that.
to keep it from running out of control more oil and keep it in a steady, regular, uniform motion.
Ah, here we go. Let me get somewhere where I know I won't be instantly attacked.
1,500 steam engines
Now for our first dungeon. So let us get over here and say hi to the party.
Britain was the first nation in the West, in the world, becoming westernized. So
Typically,
what's going on there?
I would announce if I'm a new person to the party,
1930,
but I've done this so many times. However, when you have a new person to the party,
steamships didn't look much
it's
different than
typical.
They still had tall masts and sails. The big difference was the large paddle wheel in the middle of the ship. Turned by a steam engine that provided extra power to the ship as it fought its way through the water.
So, since this is a
Later railway,
first timer for me, it probably is for a lot of these folks.
the time that people could traverse long distances. The American politician John C. Calhoun often used the expression conquering space. And basically, that's what these machines do, is that they help to conquer space. They shorten distances between two places.
That was particularly true with the steam piston engines riding the railings of steel that opened up the American West in the 1800s. In 1860, there were more than 30,000 miles of railroad tracks in the U.S. And in 1869, the Golden Spike was driven at Hubbard's Way Park, Utah, to unite
And you have to be careful that you don't accidentally pull.
East and West coasts. Most American trains at the time were built by so-called 440 steam engines, which had 4 lead wheels and 4 driving wheels. They weighed about 50 tons. Another important application.
Trust me, accidentally pulling can lead to you getting killed. Because there are lots of people who have the simple belief of if you pull it, you tank it. Now, I'm not sure if anybody here in this group has this, but I'm pretty sure that after a little while they'd be a little upset.
Introducing Schwab Intelligent Income. Schwab for modern life management.
Of course, they kind of be like, okay, of course, something you'll get more accustomed to as you get older, or as you play this game longer, are dungeon pullers.
That was an arrow gun, kind of like the Behemoth, Leviathan. Some of those kinds were very commonly used. Some of these engines weighed up 10, 20 tons. Huge.
In the mid-1800s, America, George Corliss developed the most important new steam engine invention since James Watt. His new governor system allowed the engine to run more steadily, making it ideal for use in textile mills. This Corliss designed engine, recently restored, was one of 3 installed at a sugar mill in Southern California in 1911. For the next 67 years, it powered machinery that refined sugar beets into sugar.
They had steam readily available to put and clean the beets, power all the machinery, power the generator in that factory, so they had lights and power for everything else, and the motor power to run the centrifuge to run the sugar out of the beets. So, very efficient system. So steam engines do it all.
The huge flywheel weighs 19,000 pounds, and the entire engine weighs 90,000 pounds. The 300 horsepower engine was in service until 1978, and the Holly Sugar Mill in Santa Ana was torn down. A completely new kind of steam engine, one that had no pistons, was pioneered in the late 1800s by 2 engineers, Charles Parsons of Britain and Carl de Laval of Sweden. And it's the only type of steam engine that is still in wide use today. Steam turbines, which use steam pressure to turn fan-like blades on a rotor, are more compact than steam piston engines, and usually permit higher temperatures and greater steam expansion. That means more power. By the early 1900s, several steam turbine ocean liners were in Atlantic service. By 1920, the steam turbine eliminated the older steam piston engines on major vessels. The group transatlantic liners from the Queen Mary, launched in 1934, to the United States, launched in 1951, all driven by steam turbines. Today, U.S. Navy aircraft carriers and submarines are powered by nuclear steam turbine plants. The TV you're watching right now is in all likelihood being powered by steam. Since the majority of electric power plants in America use steam turbine engines, including nuclear plants like this one.
The power plant engine is indeed a steam engine.
whether again the heat source is a nuclear source or coal or natural gas. It is a steam. It's somewhat ironic that we still use a technology that was invented almost 200 years ago.
The water circulates through the core, picks up the heat from the fission of that, takes it to the steam generator where it flashes to steam, goes out of the steam generator into the main steam pipes, into the main turbine where it turns the turbine to make electricity.
Steam turbines may be going strong, but steam piston engines have long been silent. They haven't been manufactured in the U.S. since the 1950s. But the sound of the steam piston is all around at the Antique Engine Museum in Vista, California, near San Diego.
I will say this much. Hitler needs to quit pulling. Now's not the time to get all brave.
In their day, they were impressive images of unprecedented power. But there were inherent flaws that turned these fire-breathing monsters into dinosaurs.
Heat transfer is a slow process, and in the steam engine, one needs to transfer heat from a hot fluid, mainly the combustion gases, to the working fluid that actually produces the power, namely steam. And people found it by using the internal combustion engine, where the thing that does the expansion and the thing that generates the heat is one and the same material, namely the fuel air mixture. And one can get much more power out of a given size engine.
But before the internal combustion engine came along, another new machine showed up to help power the world. It wasn't an engine, and it didn't burn fuel. Next, the electric motor wins a place among the engines of the world. In the early 1800s, a good hand weaver could produce 48 yards of cloth in a week. A weaver working at a steam wheel could produce 7 times as much.
Remember, folks,
Engines will return on modern muscle.
don't get yourself killed by sending in any AOE. If you see that orange circle pop up, please make sure you move out of the way, like right now. Dungeons do get harder as you go.
Given the widespread use in the early 1800s, they were extremely powerful. That power came at a price. They were also extremely dangerous. To create maximum power, their boilers had to contain steam at high pressures. They weren't always up to the task. There were a lot of problems that led to such.
Alright, so loot rules. Don't take anything you ain't supposed to take. For instance, if you don't have a need button for it, do not do that. Come on, guys.
Parishioners getting injured or killed by exploding steam engines. So he decided to do something about it.
Park Adventure Park Picture 100% Renaissance man. He's an incredible guy.
Stirling came up with an entirely new engine design in 1860, which he called a hot air engine. Today, it's known as the Stirling engine.
The Stirling engine he developed were low pressure engines. And so there was nothing wrong with them there. There was high pressure that could explode even 2 feet cold. Stirling engines are engines that heat one side of the engine, cool the other side of the engine. And then there's a mechanism inside the engine that moves the air back and forth
Alright.
on the hot side.
Alright.
When the air is on the hot side, it expands, pushes up on a piston. When the air is on the cold side, it contracts and pulls around on a piston.
But there was a problem with Reverend Stirling's invention. The metals used in the 1800s were not heat resistant enough to make the Stirling engine as durable as a steam engine.
And the metals didn't stand up to the high temperature continuous fire. The boiler is a part of the steam engine that is exposed to continuous fire. The Stirling engine is the hot cylinder of the engine, so it's a different part of the engine.
But with today's modern metallurgy, some believe the Stirling engine may now be viable. Brent Van Arsdale manufactures small demonstration engines that show off the unique capabilities of Reverend Stirling's.
Oh, look at that. I leveled up. I now have a new spell called Swiftcast.
But surprisingly, it also runs on the cold air pump.
So, I don't take anything unless I absolutely need it. Unless it's for a caster. Mainly because that's kind of a down and dirty thing to do unless you're a crafter. Okay? Being a crafter, that's a lot different. I can't speak on the crafters.
We have tried to put Stirling engines in vehicles, and the conclusion right now is no. It's an expensive engine. much more expensive than the alternatives like gasoline and diesel engines. And it's very hard to make it efficient on a vehicle because the way the engine is running changes over time. If you and I drive, you speed up, you slow down, and accelerate. That makes it hard for the engine to stay efficient all the time, especially hard with Stirling.
The steam engines and Stirling engines of the 1800s soon had a new competitor in the powered machinery of the Industrial Revolution. And today, that new competitor is still with us. We don't have steam engines in our houses. We do have lots of electric motors. Look around your house. It's loaded with them. Electric clocks, air conditioners, CD players, VCRs, fans, vacuum cleaners, blenders. And of course, who could forget the electric toothbrush? They are all powered by electric motors.
If without it, we wouldn't be able to sit here and make this movie. It wasn't worth being out of that. Unless you wanted to be back and host a party.
Unlike most engines, which use some kind of combustion to create heat, the electric motor is powered by an entirely different principle. It's based on the fact that when electricity flows through a wire, an electromagnetic field is created, which means you temporarily turn that wire into a magnet. Turn the electricity off, it's not a magnet anymore. Look out the opposite way, and its north and south poles reverse. The electric motor does this over and over, using the magnetic force to create motion.
What it does is it creates a magnetic field. And it actually travels, just like that in iron. The power is going through this field. This is a magnetic field that's revolving around, and it's sucking this around.
Of course, electric motors need electricity, so their history begins with the earliest electrical experimenters. In 1824, Michael Faraday patented his direct current, or DC motor. In 1888, the eccentric genius Nikola Tesla patented his alternating current, or AC motor. Today we use both. If it runs on batteries, it's a DC motor. If it plugs into the wall, it's an AC motor. Tesla is the first one who introduced the concept of alternating current, where you would change the polarity back and forth at 60 times or 40 times a second, as well. And Edison didn't believe it, and Edison actually fired Tesla and went to work for George Westinghouse. Tesla was right. Alternating current could be transmitted over miles and miles.
Oh, there's something in
George Westinghouse acquired the patents for Tesla's alternating
my thing that I will be taking care of later.
installed the world's first high-voltage AC transmission line in California, connecting San Antonio Canyon with Pomona and San Bernardino. In 1894, Westinghouse began manufacturing another one of Tesla's inventions, the AC motor. Early electric motors were used to power some of the very first cars, along with steam engines and internal combustion engines, which used an ignited fuel like gasoline to propel a piston up and down.
I don't think anyone knew, at least for the first decade or more of the automobile's existence, as to who was going to win up.
Around 1912, the internal combustion engine finally did, ironically because of the addition of an electric motor. It was called the starter. And it did just that, getting the pistons to start firing without throwing the driver's back out. Or worse.
Up to that time, you had to crank an engine to get it started. It was not only difficult, it was dangerous. If you really break bones in the arm, if those things jerk back on you, it could really hurt yourself. But with the electric starter, that changed the whole ball game immediately. Signaled the demise of both the electric automobile and the steam power.
Alright, so we are almost at the end of this dungeon, guys. It's been a great amount of fun. Not too much joking around and communication, because a lot of us in this one are new people.
In 1933, Westinghouse built the world's fastest elevators for New York's Rockefeller Center. In 1972, Westinghouse installed the elevators in what was then the world's tallest building, the Sears Tower in Chicago. In the 1990s, the electric motor made an automotive comeback when General Motors introduced the E-3-1. It was extremely lightweight with a strong, rigid frame, and one of the most aerodynamic car bodies ever made. Some said it was built more like an airplane than a car. highly advanced EP1 was applied, and GM canceled production in 2000. As with all electric cars, its biggest problem was limited range between battery charges.
You're in a great motion, and if you really want to get 100 miles, you have to stop $3 for trouble. I mean, you might as well have a couple miles. I think it's unlikely within the next 2 years.
Alright, here we are, the final dungeon of Satasha.
Good enough. These batteries are expensive. I think it gets smaller.
Captain Madison is now dead.
Maybe the electric vehicle would be interesting because they really would have no emissions without being driven.
Electric cars may not pollute when they're driven, but there's still pollution where the electricity is generated to charge their batteries, since most of it comes from power stations that burn fossil fuels. Because electric vehicles require either batteries with limited range or overhead power lines they can hook onto, they've been more popular for public rather than private transportation. Cities like Los Angeles got their first electric trolley buses in the early 1980s, and some cities still have them. Virtually all subway systems and light rapid transit systems use electric motors.
Looks like this one is going to end rather quickly, to which I am so excited about. Because sometimes we want to just get through the dungeon and be done with it. Don't forget to commend your healers, though, because they are an important part of the team. But if you liked how the tank did, you can also do that too. Oh, we have a second level up.
I don't think there's a fair answer.
These are the best dungeons because you get to level up hugely. See, I go for a very subtle hand movement with mine. So, what we're going to do, pass on the loot here. We're going to give player commendation. And then, here we go.
And how do you explain outboard motors, which almost always have engines in them? Very good question.
I never fully consistent in how we use those words. In the automotive industry, a motor is an electrical machine.
And I received a player commendation, even though I'm a submarine. Bless the person that did that.
Another very good way.
So next, the internal combustion engine creates a new industry in Motown, and the world goes mad for motoring.
So now let's go see our instance battle over here.
The first electric motor-driven
And then we'll turn in both quests.
was an electric pen invented by Thomas Edison. It
Let us proceed.
paper as it wrote, creating a stencil from which copies could be made.
So, that is your first player commendation. When you get a player commendation, it means that somebody really liked your work.
We now return to engines on modern models. At rush hour in a city like Los Angeles, it's painfully obvious how the internal combustion engine changed the world. Next time you're caught in a mess like this, thank Etienne Lenoir. He developed the first internal combustion engine back in 1860. Like the very first steam engines, it was developed for moving water out of coal mines. It was a big success. About 5,000 of the engines were sold. 16 years later, in 1876, Nicholas Otto patented the first four-stroke version of the internal combustion engine. Otto's four-stroke system is used in nearly all of our
Remember, stay out of...
the auto industry.
The series in that same four-stroke cycle had roughly all arrangement. We got piston in the cylinder, we got connection rod, we got crank, simple mechanism for converting the up and down piston motion to rotation of the drive shaft. That's what we came up with.
You do a lot of moving around. In this one,
1872, Rudolf Diesel patented the diesel engine. Note the action of the spark plug. It's similar to the regular internal combustion engine, except that it has no spark plugs. Air is sucked into the cylinder on the downstroke. Then it's compressed on the upstroke, which makes the air extremely hot. So hot that when oil is injected, the fuel-air mixture ignites. Mercedes-Benz made the first production diesel automobiles in the 1930s.
alright,
Because of their
a duty is now complete. This is, I think, our second or third duty in this game. And it's actually really a lot of fun to do things like this.
As both gasoline and diesel engines evolved, they changed the way cities were built. They also changed the way wars were fought. In World War II,
So she's kind of obsessed with the Guildmaster, like madly in love with the Guildmaster.
American auto manufacturers usually produce
Which, I mean, if that's your cup of tea, by all means there, friend. Have a good time with that. Which eventually you'll have to go searching for the Guildmaster as one of the guild things. And eventually you'll start collecting what we call Iggies. It's like kind of a big deal. That you'll get your people and stuff back. And just so you know, you're going to see lots and lots of weird stuff around here in Limsa. ERP, things like that. They are all very much around here. So, you know, just make sure that you're aware of some of the odd things that you're going to see. You're also going to see people doing their side jobs right there in the middle of the street, and they don't care. I usually try to go stand off to the side. Then you'll see people doing just this, just staring out into the middle of nowhere, into space. That's perfectly normal. So, but yeah.
Beyond the internal combustion engine, most developments have been evolutionary. One of them was revolutionary. German inventor Felix Weichel came up with
Okay, so let's look at some of these items. So we've already got all these items. Aw, my kitty can't see me. Aw, how cute kitties. Oh, I love my kitty. So this next one, the Topaz Teachings, is where we get our really good stuff right here. The Topaz Carbuncle and the Enhanced Aether. Alright, so we'll go back and do that. We'll go ahead and get that mission started real quick.
It's a roughly triangular shaped rotor that moves around inside a container, but not quite symmetrically. It's off center. And so as it rotates, this
In order to desynthesize, which is what I'll be doing later on when I gain the ability to do so, you've got to have a job.
So I have a very strong attachment to the Mokulen. That way it suits the
Obi Koryakawa recently retired.
Alright, so
as project director for Monsters Alice's
we're going to go back up here, complete the mission.
sports car.
Be able to summon Topaz, which will add a little yellow, which will add like a little gold or yellow gem right up here, right next to the red one.
Two moving parts, two loaders. The case of a V6 engine, moving parts like pistons and connecting log and valves and camshaft, maybe 50 moving parts.
In 2001, Mazda completed development of an all-new rotary engine model called the RX-8. It may look small, but the 255 horsepower engine is competitive with much larger piston engines.
Alright, let's turn this next mission from It's Probably Pirates to Battleron. One of my favorite drunken sailors in this whole darn place.
Inventor's death in 1988.
You'll learn that a drunken sailor can be used as an endearing term for those of us in the Navy.
It's always one of the father's eyes looking at the children. He was so nice. He was very, very pleased.
So, what do you do with a drunken sailor?
Felix
That's a
Weichel
good song.
The radical idea he came up with in 1924 spins on.
I don't know. What would you do with a drunken sailor?
Up next,
I might shave his belly with a rusty razor.
looked like a monster.
Or somehow getting him in the bed with the captain's daughter. One of the two.
Next small thing in engines and motors. Today's auto engines are twice as efficient as engines of 30 years ago. They get twice the power out of the same amount of fuel and put out half the amount of exhaust fumes. Engines will return on Modern Marvels. We now return to engines on Modern Marvels. 1941. The world was at war, and it was time for the next new engine technology to change the world. Enter the jet.
I love how she put her hands out.
Gas turbine where the exhaust gases passed up and provide thrust. And the compressor turbine, the gas turbine, do the compressing to give you the flow you need.
So basically, fishbacks are what they call the Sahagin. It's meant to be a slur.
Imagine if you're baking cookies. Imagine if you bake the cookies.
If anyone has a problem with slurs, you may not want to play this game because everybody gets called names eventually.
And then pull it out. That's what we do in the internal combustion engine specifically because we put the fuel mixture in, stop. We compress it, stop. Burn it, expand it, stop. Push it out, stop. It's constantly stop, start, stop, stop.
Alright.
Whereas with the jet engine, it's basically like a continuous process. Imagine putting all your cookie dough on conveyor belt.
We now have unlocked the party finder.
It all started about 60 years ago, when Britain and Germany were racing to develop the first ever jet aircraft.
And we've leveled up again.
1941, Germany was the first
So,
in the air, with a fighter
there we go.
the HE-280. A year later, the Germans had an even better jet fighter, the ME-262, and that was the world's first jet plane to go into mass production. Britain's first jet, it lost their Meteor.
So then let's make our way over to New Gridania, or to Gridania, and we're going to go to the Caroline Canopy, where we're going to meet up with Mother Minaway. Sweet, sweet lady. She's adorable. You all will like her.
And it's capable of carrying 6,700 passengers. In the early days of their development, rocket engines and jet engines were closely related, and people made little distinction between them. A rocket is similar to a jet, except that it carries its own supply of oxygen to create combustion.
Mother Minaway.
Jets get their oxygen from the air.
Minaway.
Rockets get it from the oxygen tank they carry on board. That means a rocket can fly in space where there is no oxygen. Robert Goddard's rocket experiments in the United States in the early 1930s.
So, there we go.
Werner von Braun's rocket experiments in Nazi Germany.
This will be our second dungeon. More than likely.
During World War II.
We knew that we had created a new field of warfare.
The rocket technology pioneered by Goddard and von Braun enabled future developments, like the breaking of the sound barrier by Chuck Yeager in 1947, the launch by the USSR of Sputnik in 1957, and the Apollo 11 landing on the moon in 1969. Today, the three main rocket engines that power the space shuttle produce thrust equivalent to
Yes, we are going to do the beginners thing to do here in Gridania and run Tamtera Deepcroft.
The engines are movable. They're used to steer the shuttle during flights. They also provide additional thrust for launch, supplementing the two huge booster rockets, which are jettisoned after takeoff. For decades now, advancements in the world of engine technology have led to bigger engines. But one of the most exciting areas today involves creating tiny engines that can fit on the tip of your finger. Microtechnology is a fast-growing area of research. It has grown out of the miniaturization of electronic components.
So now we're going to go make our way to Tamtera Deepcroft. I may not run this dungeon tonight, mainly just because I am exhausted. I am actually getting ready to run a game of Mutants and Masterminds with a good friend of ours. My husband has been friends with him since they were very little children, and I've been best friends with his wife since like 2nd grade. I love and respect these guys a lot. Shout out to James, Danielle, y'all are awesome. So I spent my day preparing character sheets, and boy am I exhausted from having to learn a whole new system. So you'll get used to that. But this is the neat part here. getting to run through and do all sorts of really cool things.
Yeah, I feel like that's something really impressive. That's a combustion mold in the circular region that surrounds this.
We'll kill a Dynamiter 3.
Can be exhausted out.
There. Notice how they growl and stuff, you know. I think that's kind of neat. Ooh.
Scientists at MIT believe this
And with discovering new locations, you're going to level up pretty quick because they give you a lot of XP.
hundreds of such inexpensive disposable micro J airplanes could be used for surveillance by the military.
So since we're coming into Brent Park Meadows, what we're going to do is we're going to stop by the Airport real quick and attune.
There's the use of these tiny engines to generate electricity, so they could replace the heavy and less efficient battery packs and things like laptop computers. Some scientists are working on new micro-engine concepts that don't even exist at larger scales.
But again, the target device is about shirt-button size. It will generate about 50 milliwatts, which is enough to drive your cell phone or a personal organizer. You put a few of these together.
Then we're going to stop by Mr. Chocobo Keep.
Take a fuel mixture, bring it into the center of a spiral heat exchanger like this. Burn the fuel mixture in the middle, and then as the combustion products go out, use those outgoing products to preheat the fuel mixture that's coming in. You can actually get combustion under situations that otherwise the flame would extinguish. If we put devices called thermoelectric materials in these walls, we can actually use that to generate electrical power.
Some microtechnology engines have gears the size of a grain of pollen, and gear teeth the size of a red blood cell. If you want to make a microtechnology engine look big, just put it beside a nanotechnology motor. Nanomachines are so small you can't even see them under a microscope.
Nano means a billion. So things that are a billionth of a meter would be nanometers, which is what is often discussed.
Line up 10 atoms in a row, and that row will be about 1 nanometer long. The roots of nanotechnology can be traced all the way back to 1959, when the late scientist Richard Feynman gave a legendary talk at the California Institute of Technology. It was entitled, "There's Plenty of Room at the Bottom."
As you go down far enough, all of our devices can be mass-produced so that they are absolutely perfect copies of one another. I want to build a billion tiny factories, models actually, which are manufacturing simultaneously, drilling holes, snapping parts, and so on.
The issue was making things smaller and smaller, and we didn't see any major violations of the basic physical laws, like the law of thermodynamics, that you made something really small.
It's my intention to offer a prize of $1,000 for the first guy who makes an operating electric motor, which is only 1/64.
There.
The prize was claimed years ago, but Professor Ross Kelly of Boston College wanted to go beyond Feynman's challenge of 1/64 cube.
Okay, so we now have access to Tamp TRD Cross. Basically, they were talking about a cult being there that would try to resummon the mold if they were able to. They don't want the mold coming back with the lesser moon, because then we'll have another calamity on our hands, and nobody really wants that. But anywho, I guess this is where I'm going to log out for the night, show you how to log out of the game. We're going to go to exit, and because that we are in an area where you can be attacked by an enemy, you have to wait for the countdown to finish in order to log out. So, if you have any questions about how things work and you want to know, just hit up my chat. I'll get it through my email messages, and hopefully things are going to work out just fine and will be great. But yeah, please leave a like, subscribe, and comment below. Oh, such a pretty scene. I absolutely love my rotating stuff in the back behind my computer. Absolutely beautiful. I love space, love stars, love planets. It's such an amazing thing to look at. Such a glorious creation to see. Alright guys, have a great night. Enjoy your evening, and please come back and see me again soon. Ciao y'all. Bye.